everybody. Welcome to
Hello.
Booth. I'm your host, Dan Arena, and we have,
Dreaming Tabitha. Wait
which
for
I
it.
like. I like to call you just Tabitha.
But this is like my superhero name. Like
And
it's my
well,
username.
give me a superhero name, and then we'll talk about just calling you Dreaming Tabitha.
Oh, you don't have to. I'm just introducing myself that way. I'm Batman.
All right, everybody, how y'all doing? We have Anonymous came in at 8:30, really early. Hello, Anonymous, if you are still here. Uncle Mike, how are you if you're still here? We got Ado from Fabworks. Hello, if you're still here. We got Poop Face Mick Gul.
Gillicuddy.
What do you call it?
McGillicuddy.
Okay, I was gonna say something totally different.
Yeah,
All
I know
right.
you were.
How are you, Poop Face? That's kind of funny to say. Um, we got
You
Arthur
don't
the
remember
Icky.
from I Love Lucy? That was her last name before she married Ricky?
What's that? Poop Face?
McGill McGillicuddy.
Oh no, I don't remember that.
Oh.
All I remember was she had it was black and white show, and then it turned into color. She had red hair. That's all I really remember.
Wow.
Yeah, we got Phil TMNT. What's up, buddy? Mrs. R2 the Icky, Avery Cruz with some wing hugs, and then we got Josh Putney. What's up, Josh Putney? He's actually the one that messaged me and said, you should watch this Halo trailer. It ties into King Arthur or something like that. I was like, oh, okay. That's if it's the same King Arthur movie
I
that
was
he's
gonna say
thinking
there's so
about.
many variations, so
Mm-hmm. Who Anonymous said he is still here. Good. And so is Ado from Fabworks. We got Amen Fate who just popped in. Hello, Amen Fate. And I think that's everybody for now. So don't forget, everybody, to vanquish the like button, ding the bell, and make sure you are subscribed. Sometimes, weird things happen, and all of a sudden you're not subscribed anymore, or the bell isn't dung anymore. Dung? It isn't dinged, isn't I don't know. How would you say that?
um,
Isn't rung. Isn't rung anymore. So ring that bell again so that you get
and
notified for upcoming videos.
that's
And
right.
don't forget to visit our website, www.insidethebooth.tv.com. You get yourself, we got some cool pages on there. You can go look at them. The best one is the shop page, where you can go and find yourself some cool gifts. We got mugs, we have t-shirts and hoodies, we got links to different shop pages that we have, and we also just added Tabitha's Etsy page. So
That's
go
right.
check out all the shop pages that we have,
Got some
and
new merchandise.
that's
Check
right.
me
Get
out.
get yourself something.
That's right. Or you could get yourself. I am the law.
And
The
you can get a
law.
sticker too. That's right, the law sticker. Any sticker you want.
Dan, this is your superhero name. Why are we even flustered
The
about that?
law?
This is your superhero name. The law.
I am the law or the law? What would you
The
what
law.
would you say?
You are
Dan
the
the
law.
law.
The law.
I am the
You're not even Dan. You're just the law.
just the law. That's right.
You're just the
Don't
law.
forget that, everybody. All right, so um we're here tonight to review a King Arthur movie called
The legend.
what?
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, say it because I
Oh,
actually
King
can't
Arthur.
remember the name of
The
the
legend
movie.
of the sword.
I love how you say that. That's great. The Legend of the Sword. I think
Yeah, I
I've
don't have that.
misplaced my little Excalibur letter opener It's
Of course,
somewhere.
you have an Excalibur letter opener. Of course, you do.
I do. I don't know where it went. It's gone. It's missing. It's in this pile of junk in front of me. Um, so I guess I'll just leave it there. If I find it,
Well,
I'll
only the worthy
pull it
can
out.
lift it. So, I mean,
That's that's right.
it's kind of like Mjolnir.
That's right. So yeah, yeah, this is gonna be fun. This is my first time watching this movie ever.
Me too. I just watched it today.
That's right. The Inside the Booth OG shop,
That's right.
original shop. That's right. And actually, all the
Okay.
links are on that page. So go ahead and go there because all the links are there to shop around. Click on the page, shop around. You don't like what you see, click on the other page, shop around. You don't like what you see, click on Tabitha's Etsy
Like
page,
that
shop
like
around.
that song says, you better shop around.
That's right. Shop around, shop around. Get off your feet and shop around. Well,
That's right.
you'll be sitting on your butt doing it because this is the internet. But
Well, we have
uh,
mobile devices. We could jog while we shop. Maybe
there
everybody
you
should give
go.
that a try, help keep sickness
Yeah,
at
that's
bay.
not
Jog and
distracting at
shop
all.
inside the booth. You can do it.
um, so we are. I saw Kaylee,
Mhm.
Kaylee D, K Dog. She's in this chat. Uh, Poop Face says, "I am just here
To meet the
to
ladies.
meet single ladies." You're funny. We got Zax. Zax.
Hey,
If that's how you say it. Sounds like it's how you say it.
I don't know. There's too many other ways to say it. Zex,
Probably not.
maybe,
Zax.
because there's double X.
It's double X. Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first time I guess that Dan and I have watched King Arthur and the Legend of the Sword, and
That's right.
it should be.
2017.
I
That's
am
when it came
curious
out.
to hear what Dan has to say about this. I'm going to go ahead and place a non tangible bet down and be like, we're going to have very different opinions about this movie. I mean, we might not, but
We
I'm
probably
thinking we might have very different opinions. So
that is a
that being
possibility. We
said,
got Steve. What's up, Steve?
oh hey,
Sorry. Um, let's see here. Do you remember who the actors are in this
yeah,
movie?
we
Can you
have
name them
Eric
off real
Bana,
quick?
we have Jude Law, and then I'm not, which are familiar names, but then there's the one guy that I'm not really familiar with, which is the main character, Charlie Hunnam. I don't know if I've seen him in anything else other than this film, and then
Hmm.
Digimon Husso, which he's an awesome actor. There's actually what was
Yeah,
surprising was when David
he's
Beckham
the
showed up.
African David. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That was really. I looked up and I'm like, "Is that? That's no way!" And his part was so small in the movie, his role, and so I quickly went online and I was like, "Was he in there?" And I was like, "Yep, there is." Oh, so people are saying he was in Pacific Rim. Okay, I've seen that. Okay, I guess I just haven't seen enough of him to pay attention and all that kind of stuff. But
Sons of Anarchy. Nice.
I've never seen that.
Charlie Hunnam. Beef? Question mark? Why is there a question mark after that?
I'm
Are you
not
saying
quite
he's a
sure.
beef? He's beefy? He's a beef? He's a beefcake? He is. He's quite a beefcake. Honestly. He's not bad looking. I like
That's
him.
not what beefcake means, Dan.
Oh really? I thought it meant like, someone who was muscular and
It
he's a
does, but
beefcake.
that doesn't it's not the same thing as attractive. Beefcake is like Russell Crowe and Robin Hood, like just a muscular guy, but like beefy, like big, like
Well, Russell
like
Crowe's not
thick.
really a beefy guy. He's more of a fat guy.
Not in Robin Hood. Why have I been
Yeah,
telling you
and Robin
about the
Hood,
way that these guys
no, he was good. He was good in Gladiator. He was pretty skinny and muscular, and he had
Yes,
like
but
his
there are
abs showing and
big
stuff.
guys, beefcakes.
But
They're big guys that are muscular.
are you saying like chunky, muscular guys?
Yeah, but they're not chunky. They're just broad, big guys.
Right, right, right. No, I think we're saying the same thing. It just,
I don't think we are.
I think we are. I know
Because
I'm
somebody was
saying
like,
the
he's
same
a
thing.
something like a beefcake, and you're like, yeah, he's pretty attractive. It's like that's not what beefcake means.
JT is in the house. What's up, JT? He says, "Who am I calling fat?" Russell Crowe. You haven't
Russell
seen him
Crowe,
lately.
apparently.
You haven't seen him
I haven't.
lately. He's not like that
Well, I
skinny and
haven't seen
muscular
him lately.
anymore.
I was referring back to But anyway,
Strong men, yeah, strong men are beefcakes, yeah, and,
yes.
and I think a lot of stronger men, beefcake men, are attractive. You know, not not like
Dan,
not like
R2 is in the
those
chat. What are you
muscular men.
doing to yourself? What are you setting
Well, no,
yourself
I'm
up?
just saying. Oh, that's true. He'll make a
What are you
meme or
doing?
something out of this. You're right.
What are you doing? Did you forget we're live and not, backstage where we can talk
Yeah,
freely?
probably. I just I just like to talk freely, anyways. You
I
know
know.
how it is.
That was great.
Uh,
That
Tab,
was
did you
really
see my
funny.
picture?
Not yet,
Uh,
JT. I thought maybe Dan would bring it up to me earlier, but I guess he hasn't. So JT has made a picture and he sent it to Inside the Booth's email. So you'll have to show that to me later.
yes, I'm gonna send it to you. I can send it to you in a couple of minutes. If you see me
Cool.
distracted, that's probably what I'm doing.
What? No, no,
But
no.
let's
No. Concentrate, Dan. We can look at pictures later. Because we
okay.
don't. If I should here's the thing, Dan. JT, no disrespect. It's like, what if I don't like this picture and you show me this picture live, and I have to be like, oh, it's great. No, don't do that to me, Dan. Okay, don't do
All
that
right,
to
all right.
JT. We'll watch it afterwards.
That's right. That's right.
Exactly,
R2
R2.
Yucky.
That's exactly.
Uh, Valentine's Day is going to be something different for Dan.
It's something different for his wife. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. That's half the fun, though. It
Hmm.
is. Iron Wolf, how you doing? Didn't see you earlier. If you must not have said anything earlier. But yeah. All right. So let's get into this. You can start with the plot, and
Okay.
then
I
yeah.
mean, it's pretty much in line with any Arthur legend story, King Arthur legendary story. It's just, they're only the chosen one, if you will, can pull the sword out of the stone. But in
Hmm.
this case, it was the Pendragon bloodline. Uther, his father, was the king and was under attack by, I believe, was his brother, who decided to
Yeah.
basically sell his soul in order to gain the kingdom. And Arthur became an orphan. He basically had to run away and watched his parents die and kind of blocked the memory of his bloodline and who he really was. And he grew up
Hmm.
in a seedy place. And, one thing leads to another. He's kind of a man of the world. He's out on the streets and everything like that. And he becomes pretty tough and self sufficient. Meanwhile, the kingdom is just going downhill because of the fact that an evil person is in charge and they're usually taskmasters demanding so much but give so little, and Arthur needs to claim his birthright, which is the sword, which in this movie has magical powers that only he can have come forth from the sword and basically take over the kingdom from the evil guy. I mean, in a nutshell, that's what this plot is. Good guy
Hmm.
needs to reclaim the land and destroy the bad guy. But there's
Right.
quite a twist to this.
Almost like Aragon. He needs to reclaim his crown, type of thing.
Mhm. Yeah,
Anyway,
like many stories like that.
yeah, there is.
But
Such a
this
thing.
movie's quite the twist
Hmm.
on King Arthur, which I was taken by surprise, pleasantly so.
Yeah, it was interesting. You know, yeah, it was an interesting movie. Yeah, there's no Merlin in the movie.
There is a
It's his,
Merlin in the movie.
but it's his like daughter or something like that, right? Or niece.
Yeah, well,
It
there's
was
a
a
brief
niece or something.
snippet. There's a brief snippet of Merlin. Basically, he was from yesteryear, and he was the
Right,
one
right.
that forged the
And I think she
sword.
said, I think she said he killed my uncle or something like that. So I think that's right.
That
It's
part,
so
like
it
I
was a
told you, it's been a
niece.
little bit of
Yeah,
a mismatch kind of day,
yeah.
and so I had to watch
It's.
the movie in pieces. But it was like either
I
she was
think she was a
related
niece or something. Yeah, she was related to some
distantly to him or something, or she was part of some kind of an order. Because if you remember, the mages were kind of
Matt
like there was
Vader. What's up?
there was
How
kind
are
of an
you?
uprising or whatever like that with the mages versus basically it was the magics versus the muggles kind of thing, and they were kind of at odds a little bit in the
Right,
beginning. And
right.
so I don't know if she was just part of Merlin's
The
guild
Magi
essentially, or
stuff.
if she was actually related to him.
Right. I don't know. For some reason, I want to say she was. So that's in my
It's
head.
very
So that's what I'm going
yeah.
for. That's what I'm going with.
Go yeah. In
I'm
some
going
way
with
she
that.
knew Merlin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But he
Um,
wasn't as big a role in this film as far as a main character like he typically is in most movies.
right. No, I don't think we made a Harry Potter reference, did we?
I did. I said muggle,
Oh,
non-magic folk.
oh,
If
okay,
you know it.
gotcha.
Okay. Dan doesn't I don't think he knows much about it, so um
I don't know anything about Harry Potter. Everybody
okay,
was
yeah.
never interested. Sorry.
So
Um, it's
there's
kind of
that.
like me with a lot of video games. Just
Yeah. I
not
found out
interested. No more
backstage that
playing.
Dan's
Yep.
not a gamer, which is okay,
I'm
but
not a gamer. I'm
he's
sorry,
not a
people.
gamer.
Ah, oh no,
He
not
okay,
me.
guys, I gotta put this in here. He was so cute because he was saying that somebody told him he needed to watch the new Halo trailer, and I was like, "Oh, have you ever played Halo?" And he's like, "Yeah, a little bit, but." He was making this comparison to like games like GoldenEye, and he's like, "I hate when people just sit in a corner and wait for you to come by, and then they shoot you." And I'm like, "Are we talking about the same game?" And he's only ever played Halo multiplayer. He's never actually played Halo as far as the storyline. I'm like, those are two different things. And I'm like, you're really missing out, Dan. It's a good storyline, but
Yeah.
you know.
And remember that was the first Halo on the first Xbox system. So yeah, that's if
It was
that
funny
doesn't
though.
date me, I don't know what
Yeah,
does. I did enjoy Mario Kart on the Nintendo 64 though. That was
and if
always
that
fun.
doesn't date you, because that was pre Xbox.
Right. But that was always fun. So, if I were to join anyone in a Mario Kart thingy, I would have to steal my son's Nintendo Switch to do it. But I think that I would still be good at Mario Kart. I always loved, being kind of
Yeah, I like
in the
Mario
middle
Kart.
of the board of, between people because you get the better instruments to shoot them and
Mm,
stuff, you know. So,
yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, we were
yeah.
talking about Merlin.
Sorry. Uh, Dan has a Game Boy. I actually do packed away somewhere. I gotta go find it.
I
It's
have a
on
Game
those
Boy
water
Advance.
games. It's those water games where your
Hey,
brother
that
races.
is a
Yes, I
fun and
remember them.
challenging game. Like, you literally
Hey, I
you can sit there
remember
for
them.
hours and play that. No batteries required, man. Like, that is a great game. It was a great
Yeah,
game.
those are good games. I remember playing them like in the dentist office or in the doctor's office. You just go "Bloop, bloop, 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 bloop," while they're working on your teeth. You
Huh,
know,
interesting. I was never
your
able to
mouth is
play
open.
games
You go like
with
this.
get in the way. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it did get in the way a couple times, so I'd put my arms down because my arms would get tired anyways. I'd
Yeah,
be
all the
like,
blood's
okay.
rushing. But anyway,
So
the
Matt
plot.
Vader, he knows where it's
That's
at.
right. Oh yeah.
Deep and grossing story to Halo.
Mhm.
Just
Oh yeah,
play
it's
the
really,
campaign.
really good.
All right. Well, maybe someday I'll get into it. But
But today
remember,
we're talking King Arthur.
That's right. That's right. The only reason why I never really got into doing gaming is because I would play it and then I would be on it for like hours and I go, man, this is a waste of time. I could be doing
Yeah,
other stuff.
I mean,
I should
in
be
a
doing,
nutshell, yeah. Yeah, you could be doing
so it
other
was
things.
so it turned out to be like, plus every time you lose, you're like, ah, come on, I gotta start this over. And then you play it again. Oh, you gotta start
Dan
over.
has
And
anger issues. Can't you guys
so
tell?
yeah, that's right. So I was always the type where I was like, well, I'm gonna walk away from it. Maybe in a few hours come back and then be able to play it and win that board or whatever it was. And then it just got to the point where I just didn't really spend as much time playing those games. But
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I can get it. It is essentially bare bones a waste of time. You could be doing
yeah,
something else, but
yeah.
it's super fun. And I mean, I play games.
It's
So
fun when you got like, when you're playing against people. And I know they got the internet thing now, but it's not
Mhm.
the same as when you're sitting down with like four or five friends playing the games and punching each other a couple of
It's
times
true.
because
It's true.
you're losing or because somebody was hiding out in a spot and you're like, "Yeah, you jerk." You know? I mean,
It's true. It's true. I play some online games, and I mean, anyway, King Arthur, guys. So, Dan, what did you
yeah,
think
okay, sorry.
about the plot of this movie? Would you like to add to what I said, and
Yeah,
tell
the
us your
plot.
thoughts? Tell us your thoughts.
It was an interesting plot. Especially the whole brother thing. Brother kills
Hmm.
brother, and then the son needs to rise up and figure out who he is, basically, because he didn't
Hmm.
know, and you know that he doesn't know who he is, um, up until he grabs the sword out of the stone, which the stone. Spoiler alert, everybody! The stone
Right.
is his father's back.
Yes, that was like
He turned into
so
stone
out of
after
the
he.
box when
Yep.
that happened. I was like, how interesting. Like, what a
Yeah.
quirky little twist we've got here.
Yeah, yeah. And then every time they would like bounce back and forth in the, I don't know if you call it like dream world or like,
Oh,
I don't
his
know, it
visions
was
of
it
the
was weird. Yeah,
past.
like the
Yeah.
visions or something. And then yeah, it was weird. But it was surprisingly decent. Of course it's got a lot of um computer generated stuff. But we could talk about that when we talk about cinematography. So I'll give the plot a point just because it was different. It was interesting. Um, I mean, it was very entertaining. Not the
Mhm.
best movie I've ever seen, but not the worst either. So
Yeah, yeah.
so definitely I'll
Um,
give it a point.
I think because if there are people that have never seen this film, so what makes this movie very interesting is and we'll go in more in depth, obviously, like Dan said, in the categories, but the definitely like very extreme camera angles, the color grading, but the way that they did the different characters and this okay, so the style of the movie, it's not like, when you think of King Arthur, I mean, you really think of that traditional, old England, all that kind of stuff. It's kind of hard to
Hmm.
describe. This has like a 300 feel to it. There's a lot
Yeah,
of gray
almost.
color
Yeah.
and stuff like that, and it's very intense. There's a lot of CGI, and storyline,
Anonymous.
it's kind of gritty but funny at the same time. Biden is older than this.
It's older than the stone.
Bless him, Lord. And it's very different. And I went to see who directed and created this movie and everything like that. And Guy
Art.
Ritchie made it.
Oh.
And he was responsible for quite a few movies. But I was like, something about this movie seems familiar. I have seen this style and just the way the story was being told. Um, it's really difficult for me to describe, but it's like he directed Sherlock Holmes. And I was like, this makes sense now. I totally get it.
Oh, the
Even with
way
the
he.
plot, the
Yeah.
way they
Oh,
did
yeah.
things,
And they
where
did like,
it's
yeah, yeah. And they did like a where the guy goes to punch or hits you with the sword, it slows down a little bit and stuff like that. That was
yeah.
cool. And
Like I said,
almost
we'll
like
talk more about that. Oh, sorry.
yeah, that was almost like what is it? Guy from Marvel there, Quicksilver kind of thing that they
Oh,
did in
yeah.
the X-Men movie
Yeah.
there.
It's kind of hard to describe this movie, but it's like it's gritty. Like the style of this movie is kind of gritty, but at the same time there's some
Hmm.
humor in it. And it's just
Yeah.
it is when you first open up this film, it's very intense right away. Like there is a
Yeah,
war
it
going
is.
on, and when I say there's war going on, I'm like, I'll be honest. When I first started watching it, I'm like, what am I watching? Did I step into Lord of the Rings? Why are there
Yeah, that's
elephants
what.
everywhere?
Yeah,
I'm like, why
that's
are there
it.
these
That's it.
giant
I actually
elephants
thought
everywhere?
I actually thought they were dinosaurs at first. You know, like
Oh,
back in the old days. You know how they used to say, "Oh, let's kill the dragons." You know, so I thought they were like just big old dinosaurs that they call dragons. But then, obviously the snout comes out, and you're like, "Oh, it's a
mhm.
big elephant
Right, because there's a lot of
from Lord of
close-ups
the
and things like
Rings."
that.
Yeah,
And
from
it
Lord
was
of the
just, yeah, it's a
Rings.
very
That's what it was.
intense opening. Um, I mean, just thousands of people CGI'd. I mean, like we're talking a really intense war, and it's very different style. Again, I'm kind of at a loss for words of how to really describe, even with the plot, how it's integrated, and it's a really twist. I don't want to say twisted because that sounds like it's bad or something, but it's like it is a twisted version of King Arthur, but in a good way.
It's a Matt Vader. It's a good movie, but
It's
we are
very
gonna be
entertaining.
just talking spoilers too. So if you don't want
Yeah.
any spoilers, sorry. But it was made in 2017. So if you haven't seen it yet, you can see it. Even if we do talk about spoilers, because we probably
Yeah,
won't like be
we're not going to
specific.
cover everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and I don't know if that goes really with acting. Like so I thought, and if anybody's familiar with Arthur, how do you say that, Arthurian lore, that the lady of the lake gives him the sword, right? But
Right.
so in this movie, when the brother who killed the king, and now he's king, and he has like this cellar pond thing under the
Yeah.
castle,
Like yeah, like a dungeon
and
basement thing. Yeah.
I thought so all of a sudden, like he rings this bell, and like the water starts moving, and this like blobby octopus thing is coming
Lady.
out of the water,
It's
and I
from the Little Mermaid. That lady that's on the bottom of the
Ursula,
sea.
yeah,
Yeah.
essentially, I thought Ursula was gonna come. I thought that was gonna be the Lady of the Lake, to be honest. I thought they made her into some kind of grotesque, twisted creature, which I thought would have been very interesting. But
Mhm.
the way that they did it, they turned out to be sirens, a different version of sirens, if anybody's familiar with that. And the way that they twisted, I'll just I'll leave off some of the details so that way people can watch it. But man, it was really intriguing the way that they did
Yeah, it was
that
interesting.
character.
Hmm.
And my gosh, like there were some, like I said, some twists in this where it was like the way that they portrayed certain characters, it was just like how original, at least in my opinion. And that's why I found this movie quite refreshing.
Yeah, yeah, it was a
Yes,
blobby octopus
it
thing
was. It was kind of
with
gross,
a
but it was
woman's
very
top half,
fascinating.
and yeah, it was gross. um, but yeah, science fictionary. What's up? How
So,
you doing?
oh, I'll give the movie a plot. Excuse me. I'll give the plot.
Give the movie
A,
a plot. Yeah, yeah.
I will give the plot a point because taking an original story and twisting, and again, it's not going to be for everybody, but I thought this was a refreshing twist in many ways.
Release the Kraken. Yeah, it was good. All right, so let's get to acting. Um, acting. You mentioned all the actors' names already. I'm not gonna say them because I don't remember them. But I think they did a good job. I like that African guy that's in all these type of
Digimon
movies. But
Huso.
yeah, him. Yeah,
Digimon Huso.
he's in all these types of movies. He's
I know he's a
Gladiator.
good actor. He's
He's
a good actor.
I thought he was awesome in Gladiator. Honestly, um, and he doesn't seem like he ages. His face hasn't really changed much since the movie Gladiator.
Well, I
And
mean,
you're
you
like,
know what they say.
no, I
Use
don't. What do they
lotion
say?
and it's good for your skin. No, I'm just kidding. I was waiting for you to say something. That's what they say. If you moisturize,
Yeah, yeah,
it's good for it.
moisturize. Or
That's what they say.
yeah, that's it. That's what they say. I love it. um,
But
no,
yeah, he's a
but
good actor.
he's a good actor. The main actor in this, he did a good job. I thought it
Mhm.
was well done. His father,
Yeah.
the guy who played his father, did good.
Eric Bana.
Jude Law, Jude Law, I like his acting, and I
Mhm.
thought he did a good job. I actually like him better in what is that movie? Behind Enemy Lines or something like that. Oh no, at no, that's a different movie.
That was Owen Wilson.
Enemy, yeah, Enemy at the Gates. That's the name of the movie.
Okay. I mean,
Jude
he's been
Law.
in quite a few. And that man right there, like he ages very slowly as well. Like he
Yeah, he
looks the
does. Yeah, he
same
still looks. Yeah, he
all the
still looks the
time.
same as that movie. Yep.
And yeah, he's a good actor. He
Interesting.
thought I thought he was an interesting choice because he's the
Yeah,
bad
because he doesn't
guy.
really usually play bad guys.
And
So.
he's so usually he's just he has this James Bondness about him. He's very suave, kind of sophisticated guy. But
Hmm.
he's a good actor because he can't, like you said, he's in enemy behind, what did you say, enemy behind the gate, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Enemy at the Gate or something like
Behind the
that.
lines.
With Dax as an enemy behind the lines of the gate. That's it.
And but this time,
Two
he was
movies
like
mixed together.
sadistic. He was very sadistic and just literally would do anything to have power of the kingdom. And I don't know, maybe I'll just leave that as is so people can be surprised when they see what he did in order to gain the kingdom.
Yep.
Because I don't know, I kind of don't want to really, right, there was that, but I kind of don't, to be honest, Dan, I don't know about you, but I
I
kind
won't
of don't
say it.
want to
I
tell the
won't say
people.
it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that, honestly,
It should
people need to
be
go
something
see
not to
that part.
spoil.
We
Yeah.
might not spoil that part because that surprised me. Um,
Yeah.
but what an interesting, like, and just really, to me, stuff like that really shows the depths of the evilness within the character, rather than him just being also constantly proclaiming, I'm evil and all this kind of stuff and off with his head. That was like the epitome. And so, but I'll just leave that off. Yeah. So acting.
All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
That was acting. Um, so I give acting a point.
You give acting a point.
G G. What do you say? How do you say that?
Wirama.
Rurama. And then you got the Rurama Studio.
Just,
Oh,
GW,
it must be the same guy, right? It's got to be the
I
same guy.
assume.
How you doing? Sorry that you're late, but I'm glad you're here.
Hey,
And
it's
then,
all good.
Avery says, in G.I. Joe cartoon, Storm Shadow stole Excalibur from the Lady of the Lake. Just saying.
So
He
many
stole it,
Arthurian lore legends, just
huh? Yeah.
always a twist to something. I mean, you know. It's funny because Sword in the Stone, I never associated that with King Arthur, even though all the signs were there when I was little. Obviously, as I got
Oh,
older, and I was
really?
like,
I was
when I
gonna
finally
say.
had that revelation, I'm like, oh, this is a story about King Arthur. Kids, what are
Yes.
you gonna
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
do?
Jeez. I like what R2 said. Would do anything for power of the kingdom, eh? Sounds like them loony Democrats. That's it.
Yeah, or those rhinos.
Right? Right? Rhinos?
You don't know what rhino is?
Oh, you mean
Republican in
Republican in
in
disguise?
name,
Or I mean,
Republican in name only.
right, right. So it's like a
Yeah,
Democrat
they
in
say they share the
disguise,
same values as the Republicans and the
but
conservatives and
they
things like
don't, and
that,
then
but
they
as
go
soon
to
as they
the
get in
like
power,
like
they turn their backs
Romney,
on,
like Romney. Yeah,
like so many of them.
that's
But
so
anyway.
many. Yeah, anyways. JT says he's working now. That's cool. You can just listen. um,
Um,
no, that would be okay. Sorry, just kind of
it's
reading
okay.
things. All right, so now we're off to cinematography.
Sure, if you don't care what my opinion is about the acting, we can move on.
Oh, I thought you already said so. Oh, sorry. No,
No,
go for it.
it's
I
okay.
thought
I
you
mean,
said
I
something
just funny.
already.
I was waiting to see if you were going to be like you. Just like a man, just move the woman over, like we got things to do. I'm just kidding. I give it a point as well. I mean, it's not much more to elaborate on. I mean, if you're familiar with any of Jude Law's or Digimon Husso's movies, Eric Bana didn't have a huge part in the role. I mean, whatever he did well, but
I vote
that's
for
right.
Tabitha as well.
All I want is
As
for
Speaker of
world
the House.
peace and harsher punishment for parole violators, Stan. So, I think the acting for this was good, but there again, because this movie's kind of different. It's kind of twisted, kind of quirky. I think the actors did a good job following that. Like they were serious than they needed to be. But again, there are these little blips of humor throughout. And it was just, again, just really, I think really well done. I couldn't say that there was one person that was just like, oh, just move along, you know. So I
Hmm.
give it a point as well. The only thing that I will say, and maybe that I don't know if that goes under acting, the plot, whatever, is that there is and you guys know me if you've been around an inside booth for a long time, I have a lot of my own personal whatevers, but the needless throw in of the F bomb, like it
Yeah.
didn't fit even with the quirky style of this film. I hate when they just literally throw an F bomb in there
Well,
for
they
no
gotta throw one
reason.
in there so they can make it rated R. It's a cool movie, so you gotta have
But it's
cool
PG-13.
words. Well,
And I
make
know
it
that they've
almost as
shifted.
R as you can.
I know they've shifted what PG-13 means anymore. And it's just one of those things. And, people can get on me and say that I'm sensitive or whatever. It's just, it doesn't help the plot and it didn't fit the story.
Right.
If you were going to, it's not like it was, History Channel's Vikings or something like that, where you kind of expect it to be strewn throughout the film. At least then it's consistent and it
Right, right. And
makes
it wasn't
sense.
consistent yet, right.
And this was just literally like, there are like no bad words in here. And all of a sudden they're like, by the way, F. And it just it doesn't work for the film. So if you're gonna cuss, at least make it make sense. Not that I put my approval on swearing, but I'm just saying for the story's sake, like that's just stupid.
Right.
So
You
anyway,
probably would have never
cinematography.
seen the movie if it had too much swear words in it anyway.
Oh, I wouldn't have either. Yeah. You
Um,
will be surprised. I did not look this movie up on IMDb before I watched it because of
oh,
the fact that my
nice.
brother gave me let me borrow the movie and and I don't hold that against him or anything like that because again I've said this before, I don't like swearing, but if there is one word in there, okay, I'll bypass it, words, not that I prefer it, but this just didn't make sense. It was an out of place swearing that just this is true. I think more people should attempt to say
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Did I say that
close
right?
enough. Yes, no, but you could say
I can't believe you spelt it. Is that really how
Doxycyclic-Fractalorubis.
you spell it?
No doubt. I wouldn't doubt that she went on her phone and typed it in and then clipped it.
If that's how you spell it, you are amazing for knowing how to spell it.
Yeah.
Yes, I do need to go back and watch the Excalibur movie. It was from '86 or something like that
I
with
don't know if I've ever seen.
Patrick Stewart. Yep. So yeah, it's that's another King Arthur type
Yeah.
style. You know, out of place f bombs. What do you say? Oh
I don't
goodness, it moved up.
know.
Ridiculous. Are ridiculous sometimes. Yes, they are. My need to be master of the f bomb, like myself and Jude. Interesting. All right. So what do you give the acting besides that whole swear word?
Oh, I gave it a point. You're not listening to me, Dan. I'd already given it a point. I just
Oh,
needed to
all right. Sorry.
explain my point.
You just need to explain your point. And your mom's here, by the way. Hello, Mama
Mm.
Watts. All right. So cinematography. Now we can talk about the cinematography. All
Now we
right.
can
Do you want to
talk
go
about.
first?
No, I'll let you go first. No, there's a lot to say, so I want to hear what you have to
There
say
is.
first.
You know what? I kind of liked it. It definitely had. You could tell definitely there's CGI, and there's
Oh
some
yeah,
parts that's not as good as other parts. You know what I mean? And then there's
yeah.
some parts really cool. And then
Mhm.
there's just some parts that's like,
Really
it
not.
didn't hit good. Yeah, it was weird.
Mhm.
Obviously, obviously they probably were on a tight schedule or they ran out of money doing the CGI or something. Um, but I did enjoy. There's a couple of scenes that kind of made me laugh, made me enjoy it a little bit. Is that when the guys are running down a corridor alleyway or something, whatever it was, and it looks like someone's holding a GoPro at your face. You're holding it
Yeah.
yourself. It looks
Mhm.
like you're holding a GoPro by yourself and just running.
Mhm.
Ah! screaming and
That
fluttering.
was the scene where I'm like, "I've seen this style before. Who's done this before?" And I remembered it when I started looking it up, and the guy that did and he's the same guy that did the
I did it
Sherlock
once.
Holmes films.
I did it
And
once with
because
my
that was
GoPro.
especially in the second Sherlock Holmes, like, that was used, and
Okay.
I'm like, "That makes sense. That make this movie now makes so much more sense because I can, you know, relate it to who did the other film."
Right. And we then now we got Josh, the
Oh,
Order of
hello.
Raven.
And we have Miss Martin Muses. Hello.
Oh, that's
Thank
right.
you for
Miss
coming
Martin
back.
Muse. That's right. Uh, R2 wants to hear me say Farfanugan. Okay, why? Anyways, yeah. So that was fun to watch. What else was fun to watch? I did like the style of almost. It was kind of like, like I said earlier, kind of like the Quicksilver scene in
Hmm.
the oh gosh, which X Men movie was that? I
Which
don't
is it
remember
Days
the
of
X Men.
Future Past?
Yes, I think that's what it was. It was similar to that, but it wasn't quite exactly like that.
Right, right.
And it was almost like you said, the guy that directed those movies there. So it was almost similar to that too. It was like a mix. It's almost like a
Yeah,
mix of
it had his flavor to it. Yeah,
yeah. So he's
definitely.
like he
Given
swings
that
and then boom,
he
it
did
goes
the.
fast and then slow and then slow motion and then
Hmm.
it was
Yeah.
cool. I liked it, So um, other than some of the parts being a little janky, um, I did like the cinematography in this movie.
Yeah.
The and I did the grayness though. I wish it was a little bit more vibrant than being
Hmm.
too gray
Yeah.
all the time, so that you could
Right.
see what the sets looked like and stuff.
Hmm.
But they're going for that epic epicness, I guess, or
Well,
something.
I think they were going for that grittiness that it sets the tone for the guy being evil, like the how
Right.
dirty the city is, and how in lack they are of supplies and stuff like that. I mean, kind of like you think about the Lion King when Scar took over and they
Hmm.
changed the colors, and it was like it's not like Scar could control the weather, right? But some
Right.
reason when he was king of Pride Rock, the sky was always gray, the ground was
Hmm.
gray, everything was washed out in gray, and it really sets that
Right.
tone of grittiness and depravity. And
Right.
so, yeah, I noticed that too. I'm like, oh, we're gonna go that way now. And I'm not usually a big fan of that. Like I said, I think I watched, was it the 300 or something like that? And everything is like this bronzy gray color, and it's like you can't even
Hmm.
tell the walls from the people. Like they all just kind of blend in together. But
Yeah. And so I mean that this was good anyways. Yeah, I was
does
gonna
it get
say
a
something
full
else, but I
point,
forgot.
half a point,
Eh, I'll give it a full point,
full point?
just because there's some cool parts and stuff. I did appreciate there's one part where that African guy is riding the horse. Keep forgetting his name. This I'm gonna call him
Digimon
the
Huso.
African guy. Anyways, where he's riding a horse and the the quality of the video seemed to have kind of went down a little bit, almost like a
What scene was that?
VHS. I don't remember the exact scene, but there was he's riding a horse somewhere and he's out there doing something. Something's happening in the woods.
Right,
Um,
of course.
and the quality of the video just seemed to be a little less than what it
Okay.
normally was in the movie. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of a VHS film. Um,
Do you think that's what they were going for? Was it like a
that
really
I think they were
dramatic
going for
scene or
something.
something?
I think so. I think so.
Okay.
And I kind of enjoyed seeing it like that for some reason.
Some nostalgia.
Because because it wasn't like so sharp. It's like you're hurting your eyes. It was like, man, that kind of like it's kind of like a homemade movie or something in that
Right.
scene, and I just thought it was cool. So definitely, I'm gonna give it a full on point there.
Full on point. Okay.
That's right, full on 1 point, one wholesome point.
Well, really quickly, we want to pause here for a commercial and just say that the great
Okay,
news,
yeah.
everyone, I just switched to Geico and saved tremendously on my automobile insurance.
Oh,
Yeah,
sweet.
messages from Geico.
Just to let you know, not sponsored.
Right.
It's not
Um,
sponsored.
I so it's funny, Dan, that you say that about that old movie quality because there was that one scene in the woods again, and
Hmm.
this was with King Arthur. It was not with the rest of the people, where he basically he wanted when he threw the sword away because he did not want to take on the
Oh,
responsibility of
yeah.
being chosen one, and then he ended up in that puddle of mud, right?
Hmm.
And that scene, the way that they did the Lady of the Lake and then the way he retrieved the sword, to me, I wrote down, I'm like, this has such an 80s vibe to it
Yeah, that
because
was
they didn't show him. I was really surprised about that. They didn't show him pulling the sword out of the mud, which I think would have been a really cool and missed opportunity right there.
right.
So, but instead, what they did is they had him pulling his hand out. Then they did a cut scene where basically it was just like this. You could see his hand and he's pulling it across. And then all of a sudden he lifts it up and you never get to see the sword. And then they cut
Yeah,
into a wider angle and then you see the sword, but you never get
yeah,
to see it pulled out of the mud. And just the way that it was done, and especially because they basically clipped her hand, into that. They
right.
didn't actually have her hand come out of the mud. It was like, layered on there. Like you said, there was just something about it where I'm like, this is kind of cool. I mean, it's terrible, absolutely
Right.
terrible because they could have done better. But I'm like, I like
Yeah,
this
that was yeah, that
because
was
it was
cool. Yeah, definitely.
because it did. Yeah,
New
new sponsor.
sponsor. And then Josh Bunny says, I had toast this morning and I couldn't believe it
Couldn't believe
wasn't
it wasn't
butter.
butter. Can't believe it's not butter.
um, uh, but we would welcome Geico if they wanted to sponsor us. That's right. We
Yes,
would.
we would. And speaking of which, we're going to pause here for another intermission. If you guys want to, you can support us on our Patreon page. There should be links below. And if not, you can find it at InsideTheBoothTV.com, where you can
That's
help
right.
us out for as little as $1 a month. But speaking of Geico, if you ever feel like you just have $1,000 floating around doing nothing, collecting dust, and you're just like, I wonder what I could do with this. I really need to reach out and help some poor, helpless soul that could really use $1,000 because I certainly don't need it. You can feel free to drop that to us at any time as well. But as far as the
Right
cinematography,
on
I would
Patreon.
definitely give I would, I would give this a point as well because okay, so I'll be honest, when I first started watching it, because I mean, bam, you are into this movie, you're into this scene, and there's people are dying and there's olifants everywhere. And I say that just because they remind me of the ones from Lord of the Rings, the
Right.
giant
The
elephants,
Olifants. Yes,
right?
that's right.
The olifants. And like it's a little bit overwhelming because they literally just thrust you in the midst of the war. And I was a little bit frustrated at the same time. And because I was like, I don't know what's going on. I need some context. But then you keep watching and all of a sudden it starts making sense. But then I noticed it's like everything's gray. And but as far as because I wrote down my first thing that I wrote down when it came to cinematography, I'm like, too much CGI. But
Right.
then when I started watching the movie, I was like, oh, it's one of those movies. One of those over the top, gritty, kind of geared towards masculine kind of fan base, like in a good way. I don't mean that, in a bad thing or anything like that, but like like I said, I keep comparing it to the 300, over the top action scenes, the gritty color choices, and all of that CGI. And so once I saw that it was going to be one of those kinds of movies,
Hmm.
it didn't bother me quite as much that there was so much CGI. I'm like, oh, because this is
Right.
going to be, I already all this knew then this is going to be one of those kind of movies. And so then I, got that out of the way. But I mean, I still always personally think it's too much CGI, it's just too
Right.
much. But the cut scenes were very intense and very interesting. When they tell Arthur's life story from childhood to adulthood, that
Yeah.
was really
That
cool. I
was
think
that
that was
was
a
cool.
brilliant way to tell the story as quickly as they could and just get it out the
Hmm.
way so you understand, you know,
Yeah.
his storyline. And which then if you don't mind, and I'll give it I'll give it give it a point too because it had so many different interesting camera angles and choices. I mean,
Yeah, it did.
was very, very interesting. But I'll if you don't mind, I will transition that into our music topic or category because
Yeah, go for
the
it.
beginning of this film, this is why I knew I was like, this is gonna be a good movie. This is gonna be interesting because I was like, where's the music? Because you open this movie up, there is no music. And even when
That's
the
right.
like you get past some of the credentials that are in the beginning of the film and it goes into the actual movie, like there's no music. And there's hardly even any war sounds.
Hmm.
And just intense fighting, but hardly any sound. And I honestly I thought something was wrong with the DVD. I thought I'd messed with my options, my choices and everything. And I'm like turning it up and I'm like listening and I hear very faint things.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, something's wrong here. So I just keep watching the film and then all of a sudden just gradually sound starts coming up. No music. And I thought this is great because they used to do that in old movies where it just kind of you fell into the story and you're like intent it's intense and you right away set the scene for that. So that already and it's not like this movie had fantastic music. It had good music for this style of film. But
Right.
the way they decided to not have music in the beginning to me is like this definitely gets a point for music because that was a even it's so funny because there was no music but it was point for music. It was a brilliant on my in my personal opinion it was a brilliant way to introduce this film. And there's that. So
Yeah. It was good. I like it. We got about
Dansby, I give it a point. It sounded cool.
um before I get into music, uh let's see here. I liked what some of these people said. Oh, impressively seamless. Josh Putney said when you did your
Thank you.
little thing. um, Poop Face says Cad Bane shot the sheriff and the deputy. That's right, he did.
You did.
um, Tabitha can do a love line show. LOL. But Tabitha will say the solution to everyone's love life is they need Jesus. Amen.
Sort of, obviously that makes me sound like a religious nut freak, but
But
in a
it's true.
sense, I mean, sense, the answer is always Jesus, unless the question is 2 plus 2. So,
All right, so the song at the beginning is called "Light of
Aiden.
Aiden." It was first popularized by Halo 3.
Okay,
Hottest
ODST. Yeah.
live action trailer. Okay, so
Okay.
that's
So is
what
that why he was
that
saying it
was.
was
He was
tying it?
telling me. Yep, tying in
Okay. Yeah, that music was good.
music.
I really
It was
enjoyed
good.
that.
Um,
Um,
yeah, it
yeah.
was good. So I did enjoy most of the music in this movie. It was it was epic, and at the
Mhm.
same time it had like a beat to it, so I found myself kind of bobbing my head once in a while like, oh, this
It
is
was kind of
cool.
like almost like
It was
rock
weird. It was
Irish pub music in some
yeah.
ways.
Right, yeah,
Yeah,
I guess that you could call it like that, yeah, of course.
yeah. But that's the best way I could be like Irish rock pub music,
Yeah, yeah, and
which
it
again went with the
it kind
twist
of
of the film.
yeah, it was a nice little jive there with it,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I kind of I thought it was like funky, funkadelic, So I really did enjoy the music, and it was something that I would probably, if I could, I would probably get like a DVD or a CD of the music, or try to get the album. That would be
Mhm.
fun. That'd be fun to
Yeah.
listen to every once in a while, because some of the music it had like that breathing thing. I don't know. It was weird. It had like a breathing beat to it. I don't know. It was cool. It was cool.
To give
I
that
enjoyed it.
intensity, yeah. Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I'll give it a point.
You give it a point?
Yep. We all need Jesus, your sister in law says. Lots of hot
Amen.
messes out there.
There
That's right.
are. Mhm.
Flogging Molly is. Any
Yes,
bands like that?
you're right. Very much so,
Flogging
Steve.
Molly.
Hmm.
Never heard of it, but maybe I should look
Look them
into
up.
Flogging Molly.
I've
That
only
doesn't
heard
sound like
some
a
of their
nice.
stuff, so Dan, if you hear them say something that Tabitha doesn't agree with, last time I listened to Flogging Molly had to have been like 9 years ago. So
Oh, nice. Yeah, I never even heard of Flogging Molly. It doesn't sound like it'd be a good album, but I'll check it out. Um, have you ever met my cousin Poopy Pants McFartface? No, I can't say I've ever met your cousin Poopy Pants McFartface. There, Poop Face.
that you know of. I mean, it could have been in the grocery
McLigging
store bagging
Cuddly.
your fruit and vegetables, and you're just like,
Oh,
hey,
that's
you know,
true. That's true.
they're just not on a first name or last name basis. That's all.
That's it. All right, so now we're on to the allegory of this movie. The allegory was, there was a lot of, yeah. Matt Vader says he never heard of Flag and Molly either. All right. Anyways,
I think it was more like he's surprised you never heard of Flogging Molly because there's two question marks at the end of it, so it's more of like
oh, so is he? Oh, my bad.
he
Um,
was kind enough not to follow up with WTF after what he. 'Cause, yeah, I appreciate that.
um, yeah. So let's go. Let's hit the allegory. I liked the allegory. Yes. Yeah. That is correct. Um, so there is some allegories in this movie, and I enjoyed the lost son allegory and reclaiming his throne there. Um, and at the end, when they're fighting, him and his uncle, I guess you could say, he the uncle breaks the what is that? The altar, that
Mhm,
big stone
mhm.
altar there.
Yes,
That
very
stone altar
Chronicles of
breaks.
Narnia.
Yep, exactly, exactly. Um, so basically saying that you know the bad guy's dead, and you don't need an altar anymore of some sort like that. I don't know.
Dan's
I
just
guess
pulling this out
I
of the
just
air,
kind of.
aren't you?
I am. I am.
He gave
Oh
himself away,
man.
but I could hear it in your voice.
Yep. I gave myself away. I actually didn't really uh, look for one. I guess because I was
It's
so.
okay. Remember, we've done this before, Dan. Honesty is
I know, but
important. You know, if there's no,
that's.
if you, what movie were we watching where we're like,
I
I
don't
just
remember.
didn't watch this for the allegory. I don't remember what movie that was. And dang it, it's here. Um, we just kind of enthralled in the movie and just totally missed
Yeah.
the allegory.
Yeah. That's true. I
I
think it was the cinematography that threw me off because I was just watching it for that. Really.
so entranced, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was searching too because I mean, obviously the chosen one, the destiny of greatness, it's been said, it's been done,
Hmm.
that is it's very like, you can
Yeah, that's
gravitate
very
towards that
evident there. Yeah.
easily. It's very evident. It's like, you have a destiny, all this kind of stuff. But what I was pulling from it because that was before I
What's
was
up,
able to finish the
Dennis?
movie. Hey Dennis. I've got to message you, Dennis. I've got to tell you something important. I should have told you about 2 days ago, but I'll tell you later.
Uh oh. Go ahead and tell him
No,
now. Tell him now.
I was gonna say I better tell him now because that sounds like something horrible. I've mailed you the helmet. It is on its way. I apologize if I made you nervous. um,
I fake it all the time on our shows. Don't
won't
tell
tell
my
anybody,
friends.
guys. It's,
We won't
it's
tell
just
anybody,
between
Matt
us and the
Vader. Yeah,
16
that's
people
right.
in the chat.
Yeah, that's right.
But what I grasp from this, and I'll try not to say too much because it has to do with what we said we would not spoil as far as the bad guy. But
Right.
what the bad guy was willing to do
Yeah, the
twice,
evilness. Yeah.
especially in the end, in desperation, in order to keep the kingdom,
Keep his power. Yep.
just because especially at the end, he knew that he was beaten, right? He knew he was defeated because when he was fighting Arthur, he was like, "Look, you've won," you know. So there really was no point in him doing the that evil deed prior to. There really was no point because he knew he'd lost the kingdom. He was so
Yeah.
overcome with rage and fear and pride that he sacrificed something that didn't need to be, something that he could have had it for the rest of his life, right?
Right.
And I remember hearing a preacher years and years ago, and this is where the allegory will come in, is that sin, especially pride, but sin will take you deeper. It will cost you more than you would ever be willing to pay, because no way in the beginning of the film was that something that he was thinking about doing.
Right.
Was that something he was willing to sacrifice? Because you could tell that it pained him, and that's why it meant so much for that sacrifice. But
Hmm.
he let himself be so overcome with pride and arrogance and desperation that, and that's something that sin will do. It
Yeah.
starts off with a little thought, just a little toe over the line, and before you know it, I mean, how many people, how many teenagers when it comes to smoking or drugs, even alcohol, oh, I can control it, it's okay, it's just a little bit, and then the next thing you
Hmm.
know, their parents are having to send them to rehab. And sins like that, you got to be so careful with what you let inside of your mind, because it will control your heart. And so that's what I got out of this film. I'm like, man, when he did that at the end, when he didn't need
Hmm.
to, just showed me the depravity of the man, and really made it for interesting, still an interesting story, very sad and very dynamic. And
Hmm.
so that's that allegory there. It's just like, man, if he would have just stopped, you know obviously he wasn't going to apologize, he was too far gone for that, but if he just
Right.
surrendered and been like, that's it, and not do what he did, oh man, he still could have had a somewhat enjoyable life, but he let his pride and all that get in the way. So, you know that would be my allegory. So Dan doesn't give a point for the
Yeah.
allegory because he has not.
Well, no, I mean, I would give it a point because I could probably, if I watch it again, I could find stuff.
Doesn't count. It's got to be here in the
But that's,
moment.
oh, it's got to be in the
Doesn't count.
moment.
Doesn't
Well, I
count.
like what you said. I'll give it a point. Um,
See, that doesn't count though. It's not the movie. You just like what I said.
well, that's part of the movie. Um,
I could
I
be
liked
lying.
his. I
I
liked
mean,
the. I liked his. I guess you could say the CGI slash costuming of the bad guy stuff. He looks like the
that was pretty
devil.
intense. I felt like I
Yeah.
was watching a teaser trailer for the PC game Diablo, to be honest.
Yeah, that was pretty. Straight up. It was like,
It was
there's the
pretty intense.
devil.
It
Got
was
to defeat that
interesting.
devil, get some victory.
Mhm.
Victory.
His weapon was really cool. I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, that's right. Victory in Jesus, my Savior, forever. He bought me and he bought me with his redeeming blood.
Wiki, hey now.
Anyways. Anyways, yeah. So, yeah, I this movie was pretty good. I give it
Yeah.
I gave it 5 points.
Yeah, you gave
Big
it.
Ted
You know.
did too. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Should I give the allegory half a point then, since I didn't fully have one in my head?
hey,
Is that
the
what you're telling
audience
me?
knows. We'll let the audience make up our decision for that. Give them
Okay.
some, you know. So overall, this movie, while not a perfect film, while not the best film, this is one of those films that I could easily watch again and again because it's easy entertainment.
Yes,
It's
it
fun,
is.
it's interesting.
Hmm.
Um, it's kind of like the movie Sahara, with Matthew McConaughey, Steve Zahn.
That's a good movie.
Uh,
Yeah.
it's a good movie, right? Is it the best movie in the world? No, but it's just one of those
No.
movies where you can kind of gravitate to and just watch whenever you just want to watch something and don't really have necessarily what you're you don't really know what you want to watch, but you're like, I'm just into something intense. I'll just like in my family, a lot of times we're just like, oh well, we don't know what to watch. Why don't we just watch Sahara? We're like, yeah, let's watch Sahara. I mean, I've seen that movie like 10 times, so let's
Nice.
watch Sahara. So this movie got a depending on which side of the computer screen you're on, got a perfect 10 or a perfect 9. So go
Either
see
way,
this
you round up, right?
movie. No. Facts don't care about your feelings, Dan. No,
I'm not saying I
so
feel anything.
I have no feeling towards this movie.
But yeah,
Yeah.
this was made in 2017. That's when that whole big thing was going on with some of that wokeness. So, you know,
What does that have to do with this movie?
I don't know. It's just
Are you
not.
just spitting
I'm
historical
just
facts?
yeah. It's not woke.
Like it was just a random blurb, and I'm like, what were we talking about?
Wokeness. What's that have to do with anything?
What is it? Okay, so I guess you would need to
Anyways,
add
no,
our own special category for that, Dan. Was this,
yeah, there you
or
go.
a stamp? Like, was it
What's this?
woke?
Yeah, right. What's a stamp? Woke or not woke?
Woke or
Oh
nope?
man. But
This
yeah,
was
no,
not a woke.
this movie um, got out of the radar. It definitely should have been a little bit more talked about, a little bit more advertised. It was a good
Mhm.
movie. So that's one of them. What's it?
Unappreciated, underrated.
Underrated, underappreciated type movie, but is
Mhm.
decent enough to be could be
Mhm.
a good movie. Could have been one of the bigger movies on the top.
Mhm. Now, because we do have some people in the chat that might have children, and I mean, obviously, you guys are smart enough to figure out what right what your kids watch. I will also disclose that while there is no nudity in this film, which Tabitha
Mhm.
appreciates, when the sirens come on,
The
they tease
sirens.
you with it.
Woo!
Right, when the sirens come on. So in that film, when the underwater
The little
gals show up,
Squidward girls, yeah,
they tantalize you because they have
Squidward girls.
their beautiful locks or whatever in all the right places. So
That's right. So you don't see anything.
depending on what your standards and your personal convictions about how much exposure you're wanting to expose to your family, um, it is tantalizing. Like it's there. It makes you look. It makes you wonder, but you never actually see anything. So I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there.
There you go. He just watched the trailer. While he's watching us at the same time. That's great. I remember this one. Now haven't seen it yet though.
Yeah, I was
That's
skeptical because
cool.
when I saw the trailer, I'm like, oh great, another King Arthur movie. Just what we need.
Another wannabe, gladiator type style movie. That's what I kind of figured. I was like, we're going to go into this. Another one of them wannabe 300 slash gladiator type style movies.
Mhm.
But it was decent, I liked it. It was decent. It's a good
Yeah.
one. So go ahead and watch it, everybody. Take some time and, you know, watch the trailer first if you really want to. There is blood in this movie too, so if you're not good with blood or you don't want your kids to watch a lot of blood,
Yeah.
just
Yeah,
let you know. There's
it's
some blood.
not like Gladiator in that aspect. It's not gory or well, I wouldn't say Gladiator was very gory. It was more realistic, intense. But it's not horrible or anything like that. It's just more blood splatters than anything. But
Tags above the neck. Don't forget, it's above the neck.
right, because they're mythological creatures, so you just
Yeah,
never know
yeah,
where they're going to be.
of course above.
Oh my
So
gosh.
everybody, if you don't know, there's a video out. Just came out. R2 the Icky just did a highlight reel of the Knight's Tale video that we did long ago, back in
Worth the
August, I think it was.
watch.
Um, but go ahead and watch that, and you'll know what Dax is
If you
talking
want to
about.
see me and Dan laugh until we cry, you're going to want to watch that video.
Yeah, that's it. That's it right there. Um, and R2 was gracious enough to cut it down to just the highlights and the snippets. of the best parts of
Yeah.
that conversation.
I almost fell out of my chair. Yeah.
I think you did fall out, didn't you?
No, I never left my chair. But I was bent over double. That's however they say
Okay,
that. I
you're
was.
bent over all the way, so it looked like you're out of
Yeah.
your chair.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I that was a good. It was a good night. It was a
Yeah,
good
it
night.
was fun. It was fun. Um, yeah, I guess that's it for tonight, everybody. Thanks for those who
Mhm.
came in early. Thanks
Yeah.
for those who came in late. Um, and if you didn't see what we talked about the whole time, the movie is called King
King
Arthur
Arthur.
and the Legend of the Sword. Um, so, yes, we recommend this movie. So go ahead and watch it. It is
Hmm.
a good one. And don't
Right.
forget, yep, don't forget, go to insidethebooth.tv.com/shop. Get yourself some merchandise. Remember, the links are in that shop page. All the links are. So you just click on one of them links. We got Teespring, we got TeePublic, and we have Dreaming Tabitha's Etsy shop. So go ahead and buy yourself some gifts, buy some other people some gifts, and have fun with
All
that.
that jazz. Not
That's
only
right.
that, guys, you're going to want to be here for Tuesday's episode because we're
Yes,
talking
that's right.
about what all the cool kids are talking about. And what are the cool kids
That's right.
talking about? The Book of Boba Fett. And so
The
we are
book of
going
Boba
to give
Fett.
our opinions about the Book of Boba Fett. But not only that, I think we're going to try to predict because, there are only going to be so many episodes. Like we're coming down to it. And
That's right. I think there's one left, right?
one left. And so on Tuesday is
There
going
you
to be
go.
the day before the next episode. And so we're going to give our thoughts, opinions, and predictions about the future
What one that's
episode.
gonna be?
And not
That's
only
right.
that, guys
It's
and gals, next week is
gonna
going
be a
to
funny
be
show.
Inside the Booth's first ever girls' night.
That's
Right?
right. The 15th.
So we're going to
Mark
be
your
on the
calendars,
15th. We're
ladies
going to be having some special
and
guests on
guys
here,
who
and we're
want
going
to
to be
watch,
talking.
ladies.
Oh, yeah. Guys and girls are all included except for Dan. Dan's not allowed to be here. It's just going to be me and some other
That's right. I'm gonna have
gals.
a day off.
And it's right. Even though he's going to be sitting there watching and making sure, be like, Tabitha didn't say this and she didn't say
No,
critiquing
I'll
me.
be like, I'll be on the chat going, "What's up, everybody?"
Right, he'll be hitting
So
us up in the chat and just blowing it up. But
that's
yeah,
right.
you're gonna want to watch it next week. It's gonna be something different, something fun, and I'm really looking forward to it. Tell your friends, tell your gal
That's
pals,
right.
and looking forward to Girls' Night, first ever, the first episode
That's right.
of Girls' Night, Inside the Booth edition.
That's right. And don't forget, Tuesday, talking about Boba Fett. It's gonna be funny because I want to have fun and make fun of things. So, so it should be a fun,
It's
funny
really
show.
random.
I know. Well,
Like it was
it's
so
hard,
vague.
you know how I know,
Dan
but
has been dying to
I'll
tell
be
people his thoughts.
I
He
want to
cannot wait
I
until
do,
Tuesday.
and I have been on a couple of shows already lately, but other people's podcasts. So it's like it's hard for me to be like, well, what do I say? Because everybody else is passionate about stuff and they're more serious. And I'm like,
Mhm.
well, maybe I shouldn't really say this then or
You
say
shouldn't because you should save it
that.
for
And
our show.
I know, I should
But you
save it
couldn't
for our
contain
show.
yourself. I mean, like he was on Twitter and he was like, by this way,
But
you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Look us up for Inside the Booth. But
that's
he
right.
was on Twitter and he's like, hey, anybody want me on the show? I've got to talk about this episode.
Exactly. And I didn't realize that everybody would be so, serious. And so I didn't
Yeah.
really say what I wanted to say, pretty
Yeah,
much.
people, yeah,
But it was
certain
good.
people definitely can be. I'm not trying to support you, Dan, but I didn't watch any of those streams because I'm like, I don't want to go into it tainted by other people's opinions. I'm
Right,
like, I'm
right. I
gonna
gotcha.
save it. I'm gonna just save it.
She
And
didn't want to support me. That's what it
after I
was.
saw last week's episode, I'm like, okay, I got something to say now. But anyway, we're gonna talk about that on Tuesday. So be there at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yes, please.
Yes, Vader,
Sure.
Matt Vader. We will do that. We'll come on.
We would be
Give us
honored.
some dates, and we'd love to come on. And the press play says the Book of Mandel Fett. Yes. Anyways, we'll save that for Tuesday.
It's
Um,
Tuesday, guys. Tuesday,
which
Tuesday,
is 2 days
Tuesday.
from now. 2 days from now. So you don't have to wait too long. Um, uh, so let's.
Concentrate, Dan.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, just breathing. Um,
just breathe. I like
our,
that.
so yeah. Have a good night, everybody,
Yeah, thank you for
and
being here.
we'll see you all later. Don't forget
Tuesday.
the shop page. Don't forget 2 days from now. Don't forget the 15th. Don't forget anything. All right. Love you guys. Have a good night. And we'll see you soon. Goodbye. And clicking this button is always, it takes forever. My internet must suck.